Hello everyone and welcome to the latest in the series of podcasts with myself, Liam Carroll, a qualified financial consultant with SYS Wealth and Financial Planners. And the idea of these podcasts is to provide valuable information for people, giving nuggets of information in order to provide health to your wealth. And delighted today to say we're joined by Patrick O'Sullivan. And Patrick is the MD of Sales Dynamics. And it's a dynamic sales training, coaching and consultancy company based in Limerick City. He's 15 years of commercial experience in running his own business, 8 years in senior sales and marketing roles at board level with the Limerick Chamber as well. He's a business mentor with the local enterprise office and delivers a boot camp for Ireland's best local young entrepreneur. He's a member of the European Mentoring and Coaching Council. And he has a passion for coaching and mentoring and loves to see the clients he works with flourish and excel. So, Patrick, how are you? Thanks very much for taking the time to join us today.
Hiya, Liam. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Only delighted. The first question, Patrick, I suppose the one that we start off with to most people really is just the challenges you have faced, I suppose, firstly from a personal point of view since the COVID began.
Yeah. Do you want the PG version or do you want the over 18 version?
No, PG before 9 o'clock, I said.
Look, I suppose personally, I found it difficult at the start of COVID, if I'm being honest. And I think it was the uncertainty. I think it was the shock of it all. And I probably found it a bit overwhelming, if I'm being honest. But as I got into a rhythm, as I, built a routine, I started to enjoy it a little. And now I'm a lot more comfortable with it. But the first week or two now, I had a couple of sleepless nights. You'd be worried about your business, worried about your family, worried about your staff. So I'd say there isn't anyone in business who didn't feel the same. And then professionally, it was quite similar because the business I'm in mainly is training, coaching, all around sales. And because of this uncertainty, a lot of companies push pause, naturally so, on their training and upskilling their staff. So a lot of that just kind of grounded to a halt for me. And I was lucky in a way that I had another business, which I've been running for the past 13 years, which I could kind of piggyback on. And that's in the health sector, and that was doing quite well. So, I had a bit of comfort there. And it's only recently, I suppose, since maybe early July that I'm back working with my existing clients. I'm back working with clients that the Limerick Enterprise Office kindly sent me, and I'm back out looking for a new business.
Fantastic. That is a big effect, and I think the common theme through all these interviews, Pat, has been that it has affected people, but it's how you adapt and get on with things is a big factor, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the saving graces for me was, I kind of realized fairly early on that you can't control the uncontrollables. And what I did was I started doing a bit of extracurricular stuff. I took on a course. I did an advanced diploma in personal leadership and executive coaching, and that took up 3 nights a week, kind of 6 to 9 for about 6 weeks, and then there was another 6 weeks of assignments to do. So that kind of occupied my head for that time, as well as running the other business, and that was kind of a saving grace for me.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, and keep the mind occupied is the lesson on that, I think.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, you've a huge wealth of experience in training, coaching, sales development, and so on and so forth. Just, I suppose, some nuggets coming out for people coming out of the COVID, hopefully, that they can use, or as the COVID continues, that might still be applicable to them, Pat.
Yeah, well, I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. You can't control the uncontrollables, and that's never more true than in sales. So, there are lots of people who had sales pipeline built up, and that all went on hold. And I guess, look, we're slowly coming out of COVID now, but the pressure is still on companies to get business in. The only thing I would say is, you can't rush people on the other side of the table to start doing business with you. They have to do it on their timeline. And the best thing really to do is not to worry about the outcome or the overall outcome, whether that's getting the sale, closing the sale. Work on the activity that you do. So that might be, look at the smaller things and break them down. How many conversations are you having a week? How many emails are you sending to prospective clients? How many posts are you putting up on LinkedIn? What kind of value are you offering when you reach out to target customers? You know, that's the kind of thing that will keep you on the straight and narrow, and the results of that you'll see further down the line. And really what anyone in sales is doing now, like they're responding immediately to people who want to do business now, but on the other hand, they're really building their sales pipeline for the next 3, 6, 9 months. And there's a bit of comfort in that, because whatever you do now, okay, we're in the first week in September, right up till Christmas, you're not going to really see the benefit of that till the first or second quarter of next year. So that's what I would say, you know, as a sales tip: concentrate on the smaller elements of your activity, not so much on your results.
I suppose, Pat, you're big into this. I know we did a couple of courses with you in SYS Wealth and Financial Planners, and they were fantastic, to be fair. And you're big into the sales process, and the sales process for people has changed significantly, hasn't it? And can you see it going back to where it was, or is it changed forever in its own way?
Yeah, it has changed. And I suppose, look, we all have to be, I'm in sales. A lot of people watching this, whether you're directly in sales or you're in customer service, we're all in some sales role in a company. So what I would say is, from the sales perspective, you can't just rely on one or two ways of approaching customers now. Very few are meeting face to face. It's starting to come back slowly. So a lot of it, as you know, is done on Zoom at the moment. A lot of it is done through email, a lot of prospecting. But what I would suggest is that, you know, who knows when we'll be back meeting face to face on a normal basis. But until then, you need to be using like 4 or 5 different approaches to engage people. So we call it like a multifaceted approach. So that's basically where you're reaching out to target customers. It might be through LinkedIn, it might be through Facebook, it might be email, phone, voicemail, video, whatever that format is going to be. You need to be using a multiple amount of you need to have a multifaceted approach. And the other thing is that, because we're all gone online now, you're competing with buyers' attention, and there's way more people now trying to get that attention. So when you reach out to somebody, you need to be reaching out to them with something that's going to resonate with them. So unless you're solving a problem that they have, a challenge that they're experiencing, or unless you can, you know, shed some light on improving their business or how they can do something more effectively, you know, you really have no business reaching out to them. So it's really important that you take time to look at who is your ideal client, what their profile is, develop their persona, and make sure you're reaching out to them and engaging them on things that are important to them.
It's funny, someone said recently, Pat, that in relation to the sales process, that the advisor in our case is making the decision for the client. So we're deciding that the client doesn't want to use a Zoom medium or other form, Microsoft Teams, whatever it is. And in a lot of cases, the client is comfortable with it. So would you see a lot of the case that it's the advisor in our case needs to get out of their comfort zone nearly? Would that
Yeah,
be
they do. That's exactly it, Liam. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's like a mindset thing. We, like as salespeople, our mindset is, you know, we say no before the client says no. So what I find every day is, when I'm dealing with customers and clients, that they'll send emails, they'll make phone calls, but they'll do it once, or they might do it a second time, and then they give up, because they say, I don't want to be annoying such and such a person at the other end of the phone. They're busy. If they're interested, they'll get back to me. But what, you know, they fail to realize is there's so many people competing for their attention. Unless you engage 5, 6, 7 times over, you know, a 5, 6, 7 week period, you're not going to get in front of them. And you need to be persistent in following up. So much effort goes into, you know, getting their attention, whether it's a marketing qualified lead or sales qualified lead that comes in. You know, there's an initial interest from the buyer. If you don't follow that through till they say no or yes or come back to me, then you're not really doing your job. So just be mindful of that if you're in sales, that you follow up and don't put up the obstacle, you know, or talk yourself out of it before you actually hear from the client or customer that yes, it's time to move, no, it's not, or come back to me.
That makes perfect sense. In your experience in business and maybe through your own professional career, I suppose the thing that's most underused in sales or for people in that industry that people could use or that you could pick up on?
Yeah, I think, well, I suppose I'll give you an example in the company context.
Yeah.
What I don't see an awful lot, and I think it's underutilized, is actually teams coming together for, a session once a week, once every 2 weeks, where they actually work together on the challenges that they're facing in their pipeline, and that, they look at maybe deals that were lost, why they lost them, how can they address that, what were the reasons, they're only looking at results. And I think if teams come together more to role play, to actually help each other on building pipeline and addressing issues that they have with prospects, it would be a lot more effective all around.
No, that's excellent advice. I think it's definitely underutilized in the industry. The best bit of advice that you ever got, Pat, be it from a professional point of view or a personal point of view, just the best bit of advice or saying that you ever.
Yeah, I suppose. Look, I'd have one or two. One from a personal point of view is Oscar Wilde, and it's be yourself because everybody else is taken. And I think that kind of rings home with me, especially when you see, a lot of influencers out there in social media and that trying to be somebody else. Or I think just be yourself. That's kind of the main advice on a personal level. And then on a business level, I think there's one that springs to mind, that unless you're in mortal danger, fear is a compass pointing you where to go. And I think that's very true in sales, because in sales, we have to move outside our comfort zones. You have to pick up the phone. You have to do things, maybe speak when you're not so comfortable speaking, or, you just have to push yourself all the time. And I think that rings home with me and lots of people that I speak to. And that's one that resonates. Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to keep an eye on that one, Pat. It's very good. Yeah. And we've used you ourselves in SYS Wealth of Financial Planners, as I said previously, and found your course to be excellent now. And I definitely picked up a good few bits out of it and are still using them today, thank God. Are you available, Pat? You're available in Zoom, online, or are you going back doing face-to-face meetings with companies? And how can your contact details will be at the end of the show anyway, and at the start of the show as well? How can people contact you? Are you available for online consultations or face-to-face now?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I suppose first and foremost, I'm available for a chat. That's the way I always start, and before any engagement, have a chat to make sure, I can help the business and that they're open to the help. Secondly, once we get past that bit, it's a case of going on Zoom, probably for the time being, and then combining that with face-to-face when the time allows. But certainly at the moment, I'm doing all my training, all my consultations by Zoom.
By Zoom. Very good, Patrick.
People can reach out to me at patrick@salesdynamics.ie. You can follow me on LinkedIn, and like you said, my details will be at the tail end of this.
Yeah, and exactly, the details will be the tail end. And I think I can only speak from personal experience, but it's well worth having a chat with you anyway, and people can make up their own minds thereafter. Top class at your profession. So that's all we've time for today, and delighted that Pat took the time out to join us. And until the next time, stay safe. Thank you.
Super stuff. Listen, thanks for having me, Liam. Cheers.
Thanks, Pat.